Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to one of our course orientation days. Today, specifically, we're going to be focusing in on BSB50320, the Diploma of HR Management. My name is Tim Stalker. I am one of the course advisors here at Let Training, and joining me today, we have one of the senior tutors at Let Training who focuses in on our HR courses, Ray McCall. Ray, thanks for joining me today.
Thank you, Tim, for the opportunity. It's a pleasure.
No worries. So just before we might get started, Ray, for people who have never spoken to you before, what sort of background did you have prior to becoming a trainer?
Sure, absolutely. With particular focus on the HR side of things, quite a diverse range of not only roles, but industry sectors over the last three decades or so. From a sectoral point of view, predominantly within hospitality and tourism, global hotel chains, casino operations, though I've also, worked in facility services, human services and community services, and even from an HR point of view in VET, vocational education and training. In that sense, I've had a range of roles from HR manager through to regional and national portfolios, national management roles in learning and organisational development, as well as Indigenous employment and development. The word development recurs, and I've certainly got a strong interest in organisational development along with industrial relations.
Fantastic. So just a quick bit of housekeeping before we get started. People are free to ask questions at any point. Even if we don't get to them straight away, we will definitely get to them as quickly as possible. We will also break the orientation up just to provide opportunities for anyone to ask questions in chat. We also have course advisors monitoring the chat. So if your question is one of those that might take a little bit longer or need a little bit more in-depth assistance, the course advisors may ask you to provide your contact details, and an advisor will contact you by phone or by email after the orientation. So we'll just move on here now and we will get a start today. And as I said, today we are discussing the Diploma of HR Management. This is a 5th level qualification under the Australian Qualifications Framework. Ray, what would you say is the primary difference between, say, a Certificate 4 in HR Management and the Diploma of HR Management?
Absolutely, Tim. A level 4 or certificate 4 is certainly pitched at what I'd call the functional level. So getting a grounded foundation and understanding of delivering and supporting the delivery of key functions in the HR space. Whereas the diploma takes it to the next level, and it's very much focused on managing that function for the organisation. So if I use, for example, recruitment and onboarding as an example, at Cert 4 level, the program is very much about being able to implement a standardised recruitment, selection, induction, onboarding program for the business unit or the business or organisation. Adhere to the policies and procedures and systems that are in place to ensure that best practice is fulfilled. At a diploma level, that's pitched at the management of that recruitment and selection and induction, such that it's pitched at someone who is able to develop the systems and policies and procedures associated with recruitment, selection and induction, can oversee the implementation of it and ensure that it's done with due diligence, and also someone who provides the support to the rest of the business, and that support could be training and development into all of the recruitment, selection and onboarding policies and procedures. So functional as opposed to management.
Right. Okay. No problem. Now, as we see here, it is between both the Certificate 4 and the Advanced Diploma. And do you actually need to have completed the Certificate 4 or have relevant work experience to move into the diploma course? And we will get into that in a bit more detail in just a moment. But equally, to move into the Advanced Diploma of HR, you first need to have completed a diploma level or has significant work experience. And we'll just move into that now with the entry requirements for the Diploma of HR Management course. Now, as we see here, there are 2 options for entry requirements with this course. On the left here, we have completion of 4 prerequisite units, and these units are found in the Certificate 4 in HR Management. They are there, administer performance development processes, support employee and industrial relations, coordinate recruitment and onboarding, and supporting HR functions and processes. Now, for people who haven't previously completed the Certificate 4 course or completed these 4 units, there is also the option to meet the entry requirements via work experience. And I see we have a question in chat there. We'll just hold for one moment and see what that question is. Is there a potential for a course discount if I don't need to complete the 4 prerequisite units? Okay, that is something you would have to talk to one of our course advisors about. You would first need to speak to one of our trainers and confirm that you do meet the requirements. And after that, then our course advisor will be able to provide you with information on any potential discounts. Moving on to the full-time work experience over here, we would require specific pieces of workplace evidence in order to meet those requirements. And Ray, if you don't mind, how about we just go through these here? So we've got an official statement from your employer, performance review reports, and a signed job description. So why are these so important when it comes to meeting the entry requirements for the diploma course?
Look, they're the typical sources of evidence that a learner can use or produce to verify their experience. So basically, it's the evidence. So your employer should be able to provide you with a statement of employment and specify what roles and responsibilities. And obviously, given the prerequisite units, we're looking at a statement that can verify your engagement across those 4 areas. Likewise, as supplementary or supporting evidence, you may have performance reviews that validate the fact that you have undertaken those functions and you can demonstrate 2 years full-time work experience. And I always encourage a job description because, again, if you're coming from a generalist background, that it would indicate your engagement across performance development, IR, recruitment, and generally supporting the delivery of functions and services in the business. Though having said that, it really is a case of working with you as the potential applicant to look at other ways that you can prove it if, for example, some of those types of evidence are not easily accessible.
Absolutely. And that also comes with the factor of potentially there are issues with confidentiality. We have had a lot of people come to us as course advisors explaining that they do have the work experience, but there are confidentiality issues with their current employer. And for that, we are always happy to book you some time with our senior tutors to have a discussion about it and potentially come up with some alternative methods by which you can prove that experience. We'll just hold for a moment here and see if there are any other questions from chat before we move on. I see we have a question. No, not a problem. We will move on now to the next section, which regards career outcomes. Now, as we see here, we have some of the potential career outcomes you might be able to achieve after completing this particular course. We have their HR manager and advisor. We also have a people and culture manager and operations administrator. Now, Ray, coming from a background that is fairly HR focused, what would you say are some other options for people who complete this course when it comes to career pathways and outcomes?
Sure. Look, it may be for outside of a specialist within the HR domain, people who are business owner operators who certainly have a key obligation in managing staff. It certainly will supplement their skill levels from a whole of business point of view. It may be a team leader or a manager in a business unit in a larger organisation who aspires to move into the HR space, or alternatively supplement their general understanding in terms of the HR function, so that they're better equipped in terms of acquitting the management leadership role. So again, whilst it is zeroing in on the HR specialist focus or the HR role, it still has great value to people for whom people and culture is an area of responsibility.
Okay, we do have a question here in chat, Ray, you might be able to help with. So the question is, I'm wondering what a people and culture manager is.
Good question. In the first instance, it's a common contemporary label that the HR function and space has tended to adopt, particularly at a larger organisation point of view, recognising over time the change in focus of the role, particularly from being a business partner in the business, moving from that administrative focus to really being responsible for managing everything to do with the workforce, everything to do with people leadership in the business. And when we talk about culture, we're talking about organisational culture. Organisational culture as the big picture nature of the organisation, particularly aligned to the likes of employee relations, which is critical from the point of view of achievement and sustainability of business performance. Positive culture in the organisation will retain key talent who have the capability to take the business further. So that it tends to focus on that very holistic focus around everything to do with managing people and leading the people function and sustaining a positive, constructive culture within the organisation.
Fantastic. Thanks for answering that one. Now, even though these are some career outcomes, there are plenty of others. Just the same, there are also options for further study after completing this course. We have already discussed the advanced diploma of HR, but alternatively, if people are looking to branch out into other areas of HR or business in general, we do also offer courses in leadership and management, as well as in organizational development in business, as well as business operations. So those are some other options you might be interested in. And of course, you can always talk to one of our career advisors about them. And we'll move on now to the next section, which has to do with the course outline. Now, as we see here, this is a 12-month course, the Diploma of HR, just on its own. And as we see here, instead of going by units, we've broken it down into skills. And we have here 2 separate levels of functional skills, along with some professional skills. Now, Ray, one of the questions we get asked a lot about is regarding the functional skills in level 2 there, so recruitment and payroll, as well as the professional skills. And a lot of people ask if those skills are really going to be, especially the professional skills, if they're really going to be of importance to people who are going to be doing HR management positions. Would you say that they are?
Absolutely. And if I talk to the level 2 functional skills, that's really the way that industry has decided in terms of approaching. So they're essentially functional or functions of HR that the HRM needs to be adept in. So whilst it's not categorized as a level 1, it's still prioritized and so therefore required. And particularly if we talk about the likes of payroll, people may be familiar with all of the Fair Work Commission activity around wage underpayment and wage theft and the like, and hence industry deciding that HRMs need to have a heightened understanding of payroll management, particularly as it relates to interpreting industrial instruments and ensuring that people are appropriately paid. So critical from that point of view. And then from a professional skills point of view, these are the things that underpin or support all of the other functions. And again, they're cross applicable and they're transferable to any context. So from the point of view of leading and managing effective workplace relationships, everything and anything that you're doing in the HR space is about maintaining constructive, positive workplace relationships, whether that be at the industrial relations and employee relations level or in facilitating the performance management processes in the organisation. Excuse me,
right,
or arranging training and development. Same thing in terms of critical thinking. When you're working in the IR space, you need to think on your feet and deal with some very complex issues. And as is the want of HR, when you're developing the capability of the organisation, it's all about managing that development of people, both in the professional context and the personal context.
Fantastic. We did just have a very quick question here in chat, which is regarding a position that will be supporting and assisting others in dealing with ER and IR conflicts and issues. The question is, would any of these units be of particular help to them? I would probably say that the managed employee industrial relations would help out there, Ray. What would you say about that?
Absolutely correct. That's a core element of that particular unit, and coming at it from the point of view of not only grievances and issues in the workplace, but disputes at an industrial relations level. Yeah. So that certainly is the relevant unit where that's a core thrust.
Fantastic. Now, as course advisors, one thing we also mention is regarding those professional skills there in critical thinking and professional development. Those are skills that you can carry with you throughout your career. Now, with the job market the way it is, and with employment the way it is right now, potentially people who are in HR right now might be looking at other areas down the line. Now, while some of the HR functions may not necessarily carry over to new positions, the professional skills definitely will be with you. There are very few, especially management roles, that do not appreciate critical thinking. There are very few that don't appreciate people who know how to lead and manage an effective workplace relationship. So even at the end of the day, if you don't end up in HR as a long-term career pathway, whichever pathway you end up on, those professional skills will help you out. And one other thing we get asked a little bit as career advisors, as course advisors, sorry, is regarding the makeup of the course. We have had our tutors, our trainers, as well as HR professionals sit down and put these courses together. So they've actually sat down and asked the question, what are the skills that are best going to help people who are moving into HR management roles? And that is why we've got this list here in front of us. Now, I'm just going to pause for another second and just see if there are any other questions in chat, or if not, we will move on to our next section. Let's see, we have an alert here. No questions. Fantastic. We'll move on to the next section, which is regarding the learning facilitation model. Now, the course, as we've been previously discussing, is a 100% online, self-paced and self-guided course. It has a 12-month enrollment term, and you have the ability to log into your learning portal anywhere and anytime. You have 24/7 access to it, provided you have a computer and reliable internet access. All your resource material and all your assessments are available online, so you can go through them at your own pace. We have students in every state and territory across Australia, including areas such as fly-in and fly-out roles. We also have people currently in the Defence Force stationed overseas, and we actually have people who have completed some of their course while overseas on business, and in one or two circumstances, even people who did it while they were on extended holidays. So there is no limit to where you can go and complete the course. The only thing we do advise is in the event of support services, you do need to factor in time differences, as tutors are available between 9 and 5:30 Sydney time, Monday to Friday. I see we have another question in chat. Can I print the learning materials? Absolutely. We don't send physical copies of resource material, but you are able to print sections of your resource material out, or the whole thing out, if you're the sort of person that would like a physical copy of it. Now, moving on to webinars, one of the ways that we supplement our resource material is with webinars. Now, these webinars are interactive, and they provide an opportunity for people to go potentially into further detail on assessment tasks or resource material in general with one of our tutors. Now, Ray, you've handled quite a few of the webinars for this particular course. What are some of the more recent ones that you've completed that focus in on the Diploma of HR?
Sure, absolutely. One that comes to mind is a session distinguishing the difference between employee relations and industrial relations. A lot of people tend to think they are one and the same things and can use the words interchangeably. So I spent time clarifying that. Others that I've delivered certainly sit around managing the performance development system and establishing a performance management system. I've also facilitated a whole suite of webinars around the National Workplace Relations System, which, as people may know, is currently the Fair Work system. So a series of separate webinars through such topics as aspects of the National Employment Standard, how to unpack and interpret a modern award, through to how to access all of the broad range of materials, templates and resources from the various regulatory systems, the likes of the Fair Work Ombudsman and the Fair Work Commission. So quite targeted from the HR point of view, as well as sessions unpacking, for example, some of the assessment tasks around specific HR units.
Thanks for that. Now, as we see here, we are talking about tutors as well for a moment. Ray is one of our HR tutors. However, we do have others as well, and they're there to support you through your studies. Now, if you need assistance with your resource material or an assessment task, all you need to do is contact your tutor. Most of the students choose to email their trainer, and they are responded to within 1 business day. However, if you feel you need more in-depth assistance, or if you're the sort of person that just likes that immediate feedback, you can always contact our admin team and book in a 30-minute support session. Those support sessions are done over the phone. We are also implementing an opportunity to have 2 Zoom sessions, my apologies, with your trainer per unit. The trainer is also your assessor, who will mark your assessments and provide feedback within 5 business days. This is something that's very important to us, to make sure you get your assessments back in a timely fashion. And in the event that you aren't yet considered competent, we are always happy to provide feedback and give you extra attempts. Support services and extra assessment attempts do not incur any extra fees. That's one thing we want to make very clear. There are no additional fees for support services. And you can have multiple assessment attempts. So we will discuss that in a moment. We'll just move on now to the next section, which is on assessments and samples. And as we see here, we have an example of one of the assessment attempts, which for this particular course is for BSB50320, Manage Employee and Industrial Relations. Now, in this course, each unit has 2 assessments. One is a knowledge assessment, which is a series of short answer questions. This is specifically designed so the trainer can see that you have read and understand the resource material. And once you're considered competent with that assessment, you can then move on to your practical project. Now, that varies in type. Some of them could be case studies or simulated workplace events, like you see here. And some of them could be recorded assessment attempts or role play assessments. Now, Ray, you've handled quite a few of these assessments. Yes. What sort of thing could the students be asked to do in these role play assessments?
Yes, as you preempted, you talked about role plays, and those role plays could be anything from facilitating a meeting with certain stakeholders identified for a particular situation. It could be delivering a training session. It could be facilitating a consultation meeting, for example, in the WHS space, the work health and safety space. Outside of those role play activities, other tasks will include developing documentation, business-related documentation. So, for example, at a diploma of HR level or HRM level, developing a recruitment procedure, policy and procedure, developing grievance policies, developing an induction program, a full induction kit, for example, for a simulated organisation. It then ranges through to other indicative tools that you'd find in the workplace. So again, you'll hear me say about workplace, it's very applied from that point of view. It could be training plans, as you'll see on the task activities on the screen there. It could be through to a communication plan, an action plan, part of a workforce plan, for example. So quite broad ranging, depending on the nature and focus of the unit, but always ties back from a practical point of view to workplace skills. skills.
Fantastic. Now, one of the other things that course advisors like to make sure is very clear is that no assessment attempt, whether it's a short answer assessment, a knowledge assessment, or a practical assessment, none of them require access to a classroom or a work site in order to finish them. The course is entirely online. So all of your assessments will be submitted online. So you do not have to worry about access to a work site to complete any of them. And also, as I said previously, we do offer multiple assessment attempts. So even after 3 attempts, if you are not yet considered competent, that's fine. All we will do is put a temporary hold on that assessment, and we will schedule you a 30-minute support session with your trainer. Now, Ray, as someone who's marked a lot of these assessments, where would you say most people come unstuck with them? Where would you say most people, especially people potentially who may have already completed higher education, where would you think that they come unstuck with the assessment?
The focus or thought that it's purely about recounting knowledge. That's certainly a trend that I do notice, that people think it's all about answering a suite of 90 questions or answering 10 short answer questions. That's not the case. Yes, there is, as you mentioned before, banks of questions to be addressed to ensure there is awareness of what we call the underpinning knowledge. However, working within the vocational education and training sector, the bedrock of the system is what we call competency-based training and assessment. So competency means skills, being able to demonstrate skills. So it's all about that application. So as you see there on the screen, simulated business. So where applicable, you're provided with a simulated business information, real world documentation about that business that you need to immerse yourself in, engage and apply to demonstrate that you can, for example, in this case, manage industrial relations. So it's that expectation that it's going to be 100% all about knowledge, whereas in fact, the reality, the focus is on demonstrating application of skills.
Fantastic. And we'll just move on now to the next section, which regards other assessment pathways. Now, this is a question, especially for people at diploma level, we do get asked quite a bit, and it's regarding credit transfers and recognition of prior learning. So, Ray, let's go through them one by one here. So what is specifically a credit transfer, and what sort of evidence would we need to obtain for one of those?
Sure. Credit transfer is focused on your prior achievements in the VET, the Vocational Education and Training System. So it does exclude prior higher education qualifications unless it was higher education working in the VET space. But it has to be something that you've completed, a unit of competency that you've completed previously within through an RTO or within the vocational education and training space that allows you to get what we call mutual recognition. You've done it before, you don't have to do it again. You just have to demonstrate that there's currency of those skills, particularly if you've done it 3, 4, 5 years ago. We need to make sure that you're still current in being able to do the particular thing that unit relates to. How do you prove it? Either you can provide us with a certified copy of the transcript of results, so the statement which lists all of the individual unit outcomes, or since 2016, there is available online to anyone who has completed work in the vocational education and training sector, what we call a full authenticated VET transcript. And it's available through the Office of the Student Identifiers Registrar. People may be familiar with their unique student identifier, this number that everyone's now given to track their training from cradle to grave, so that since 2016, when the system was up and running, everything that you complete is registered there. You can go online at no cost and pull a full transcript, and we take that as verification.
Fantastic. Now, credit transfer assessments also can be done prior to your enrolment. You can always submit that information before you enroll. We can have one of our senior tutors assess that. It shouldn't take more than 5 business days to do so, and it is also free. It does not incur any additional fees to have a credit transfer assessment completed. Comparatively, we also have recognition of prior learning, which is more based around work skills. So, Ray, what sort of evidence would we be looking for there?
Yes, and quite rightly, as you say, it's a little bit more complex, where the applicant needs to put forward a portfolio, as we call it, of individual items that demonstrates, validates that they can do what they're seeking recognition for. So it may be, for example, if you're applying for, and let's continue down the path of recruitment, managing recruitment and onboarding, that you can send through copies of the recruitment and onboarding policy and procedure that you developed, that you drafted, that you consulted on, that you gained approval for and implemented in an organisation. So track change documents that shows the evolution of that policy and procedure. It can be all de-identified, of course, from a privacy point of view, records of inductions that have been managed, including probationary periods where schedules are available. It could include, for example, completed selection reports for recruitment process. It could be training and delivery evidence that has been delivered to support people, for example, team leaders, to engage in the organisation's the recruitment process. So if you're the author of all of that, you would have the PowerPoint slides, the leader's guide, all of the attendance sheets and the records associated with that. So all substantial evidence that can clearly demonstrate that you have had the responsibility for managing recruitment and onboarding. Again, it's very difficult to predetermine, but we do provide, as part of our RPL candidate applications and guides, lists of what we call indicative evidence, the sorts of things that I've just talked through, mindful that you may refer to it differently in the organisation you're working, or you may evidence the processes differently. So it very much becomes a one-size-fits-one collaborative approach to putting together your portfolio. And the other thing that I would qualify there, that it's not an all or nothing situation. You may be able to demonstrate certain 2/3 of the requirements of a unit, in which case you would be granted partial RPL with a requirement there to undertake some gap training and assessment. And as the name suggests, it's to fill the gap, to address the gap, to then get an outcome for the whole unit.
Fantastic. Now, with an RPL assessment, that can also be commenced prior to enrolment. What we would do then is book you a phone consultation with one of our senior trainers to discuss your roles and responsibilities in greater detail. For this, we would always recommend providing perhaps a current resume and a current job description. And the trainer could give you, prior to enrolment, some ideas on where there could be the potential of RPL. Now, an actual assessment where you are submitting the evidence Ray mentioned doesn't take place until after enrolment. And unlike the credit transfer assessment, there are fees incurred with an RPL assessment, but only when you are submitting evidence. You can have the initial consultation prior to enrolment. You can even have the trainer send you the RPL kit that Ray mentioned, and none of that will cost anything. The fees are only incurred when you start submitting evidence for assessment. And this is also something which can take place at any stage during your enrolment. If you have enrolled with LET training already, and you would potentially like to have a look at your trainer to have a look at some previous documents or discuss RPL, you can always do that at any stage throughout your enrolment term. I'm just going to stop here for a moment and just see if there were any questions regarding the information we've gone through. Okay, I see we have something in the chat here. Not at this stage. No problem. We'll move on to the next section, which is concerning our support services. Now, we've touched on these briefly already, but just to go over them once again, you can contact your trainers. We recommend by email or by phone, or you can also book in sessions. For people who have yet to enrol, we're always here to help out as well. You can contact us by phone, the number there, 02 9633 3929, anytime, Monday to Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Those are Sydney local times. You can also email your inquiries to enquire@lettraining.com.au, We are also active on Facebook. We have groups there for Certificate 4, Diploma and Advanced Diploma students. Another question I get asked about as a course advisor a lot is regarding payment plans. And as we see here, we have multiple payment plans for this particular course. You can choose to pay for the course upfront in full. That's completely fine. But you can also pay for it with weekly, fortnightly and monthly installments, as well as two payment plans there where it is 50% upfront and then 50% in 30 or 60 days. We can also customize a payment plan. So if you would like to discuss that, feel free to talk to one of our course advisors. While we can't guarantee that we'll get it exactly as customized as you would like, we will be happy to see if we can customize it to a certain extent to make it easier for you to pay off. One thing I will point out is those initial upfront payments there. We see $180 for weekly and fortnightly and $290 for monthly. They must remain as it is. Unfortunately, we are unable to change them. I see we have a question here in chat. My employer is upskilling me. Can you do invoices? Absolutely. If you want an invoice done, please just contact our course advisors. They'll just need to get a couple of bits of information from you, like the company's name and address, and if anyone is specifically being attention to, and we can have that invoice sent out to you within 1 business day. It also mentions here that most of our payment plans do incur an admin fee, but the admin fees are very clearly outlined, both on the enrolment form as well as the course information packs we've sent out, as well as on our website. And we'll just continue on to the next section here, which is about enrolment. And you can enroll at any time. There are 3 ways you can enroll. Firstly, you can choose to enroll via our website. Just go to the Diploma of HR course information page, and you are looking for the orange bar that says Enroll Now. If you click that, it will take you straight through to the enrolment section of our website. Alternatively, you can always enroll over the phone. Just call us at that number again, 0296 333 929. A member of our admin team will help you enroll over the phone. And finally, you can enroll via email with the enrolment form. The enrolment form is attached to all course information booklets. If you are ready to enroll, you just fill that form out. You don't even need to print it out. You can edit it on your computer and email it back to Let Training. Now, regardless of the method by which you do enroll, we do enroll people within 1 business day because, of course, we do like to get you started on your course as soon as possible. There are no set intake times with Let Training either. When you receive your login details by email is when your course begins. And we'll just continue here to one final time to see if there are any other questions in chat that we can help with today. We'll just wait a moment here and see if there are any other questions coming through. There doesn't appear to be any other questions. So with that in mind, we will finish up for the day. This has been the orientation for the Diploma of HR Management, BSB50320. If you do have any questions after watching this orientation, feel free to contact us. Our email address there, enquire@lettraining.com.au. The phone number again, 0296333929, or you can visit us on Facebook at Let Training 1. I'd also like to thank Ray for his time today. Thanks a lot, Ray. You've been a big help.
My pleasure, Tim, and I look forward to welcoming new learners to both Let Training and supporting through their credentialing in human resource management.
Fantastic. Thanks again. So my name is Tim Stalker. I'm a course advisor here at Let Training. This has been the orientation for the Diploma of HR Management. And with that, we will shut the orientation there. Thank you very much for your attention and have a great day.